I actually think Brad might be a slight favorite just because of Karn and his sideboard.
Hmm.
Brad has access to the Stone Brain and Liquid Metal Coating, so he can get SaffronOlive's key cards out of the way and then just use Liquid Metal Coating to turn off all of Saffron's lands. So I think Brad's
Mm.
engine comes out on top, and Saffron doesn't usually have that much pressure. It's going to be
Yeah.
kind of hard for him to kill the Tron deck.
So far, we've seen Saffron Olive's engine to be strong, but very slow to set up. And that might be the time that Eldrazi Tron can come back from the depths. And of course, Eldrazi Tron can be fast by itself. 3 Tron lands in a row, and all of a sudden, you're slinging those Karn the Great Creators into those sideboard pieces.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like we have a few mulligans from both players. At least one mulligan. I think I might have saw two from somebody.
W-
Both to six so far. All right, looks like they both kept their six. Brad,
Interestingly,
go ahead.
Red shipped the Chalice of the Void. Oh, it's because he's on the draw. Because a Chalice on one might shut off a lot of the important cards like Martyr of Sands, even Thraben Inspector. Although it doesn't shut off the engine of bringing him back with, what's it called? The Abiding Grace.
Yes. And looking at the makeup of the two hands, the Martyr hand doesn't seem all that strong, not a lot of answers. Brad actually kind of has a little mini beatdown hand. He can go turn two Matter Shaper. If he draws another land, he can go land Mindstone Matter Shaper. Whereas the Saffron doesn't really seem to have a lot of answers right now.
Saffron just has a bunch of, dirtily one drops that require more, a little bit more synergy to turn on. Whereas Brad can already start slinging out some matter reshapers if he really wants to. I mean, it's either that or set up maybe turn 3 Karn the Great Creator.
I think he probably wants to get his creatures out, make sure his Karn's stable.
Hmm.
Once Karn hits the battlefield, oh wow, is he? Oh, he's just gonna go for a map, I guess. It's also fair. Wants to guarantee that he hits his land drop next turn.
Hmm.
Ooh, that is an insane draw for Saffron. His hand did not have a lot of gas in it, but this One Ring just turns everything on.
Got One Ring, he's got Solitude. So not only does he have the gas, but he also has potentially an answer to a lot of the more aggressive creatures that Brad's going to be playing out this turn.
Yeah, this One Ring card's pretty good. I had three of the four players. I think you're the only one that didn't bring the ring, but
Yeah.
obviously you have good reason not to.
Believe me, many people have tried. I have not convinced.
Ring and Merfolk, that's not a thing. You got to make it a
Some
thing.
people have tried to like there's a merfolk that untaps permanents called Merigery, and so there's this
Yes.
huge legion of people trying to make that work, and I'm like, all right, if you get 150, I'll be interested, but I'm still waiting for that 50.
150 is the bar.
Yeah,
You
that's
heard it,
right. That
folks. Somebody go out and do it.
yeah.
Miragery, that's an old card. That was team play. That was a staple card in Merfolk like way, way long ago.
Mhm. All
So
right,
that's the
Saffron's
game.
yeah, Saffron has been put to a stop here by this matter reshaper.
Like the white weenie beat down. Both players kind of have a way of stopping any early aggressions. It seems like we're in it for the long haul, so definitely get comfortable.
And now that I see it, I mean, these desolation fields, these field of ruins, they're going to prevent Brad from having any significant mana advantage in this matchup, either through the Eldrazi temples or the Tron lands. Period.
Yeah, and I think let's looking at Brad's list, he only has three basics. He has two swamps and one waste. So after he's activated enough of these field errands, he's gonna be able to start actually destroying Brad's mana base.
On a down one land at a time.
Mm-hmm. Karn is really good against the ring. Of course, it actually completely stops it.
Yeah.
So if Brad can keep this card on the battlefield, he might just be able to run away with the game with just pure card advantage.
See what he gets. Maybe his own One Ring.
That seems like an excellent choice.
Karn, of course, not symmetrical. One person has all the fun with the artifacts, the other person does not.
Yeah, Brad really had the foresight to predict a lot of rings to just put Karn into his deck. Pretty smart.
Effectively playing with 7 rings. in the main deck.
True, the Metamorph. I'm pretty sure against you, he brought in the 4th ring. Why you had to go for that Metamorph. That
Interesting, yeah. I
yeah.
was wondering, why is this Metamorph coming down? I didn't even think that, yeah, he would have boarded in the last the last One Ring.
Yeah, looks like you're right. Brad did get the 1 ring. So he's gonna have a way to start getting 20 more lands. Saffron, on the other hand, does not have a way to kill this card. He can put it down to 1 and start putting pressure on it.
Yeah, Solitude coming down to exile the Matter Reshaper. Reshaper, no trigger for you. Trigger only on death, not on exile.
Mm-hmm. Turning card to 1 is really good, though. It kind of puts Brad in a position where he might not be able to keep his card around.
But definitely not get another activation out of it.
And no land drop either. Brad's mana is pretty tight right now. He could, one thing he could do is he could try and defend his card, maybe turn his Mind Stone into a creature, go for a Reshaper and a Dismember play. He's just gonna, oh, this is interesting. Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. He's gonna activate Karn, turn Ring into a creature, and then Dismember it.
That's beautiful. What a creative line.
Wow, yeah, that is really interesting.
Not
This
even
way, even if Karn falls, Saffron's not gonna have that free card advantage engine. Free, of course, because he's playing Martyr, and the life gain offsets the damage.
I'm calling it. That was the play of the match right there. I don't care what's the result of this game.
Wow, already 5 minutes, or maybe
Yeah.
a little over 5 minutes in. I feel like we're gonna see a lot more good plays. Foreshadowing. Saffron has a really aggressive start though, and Brad's stumbling on mana. He might be able to actually be the aggressor here, which is very surprising. I don't know if you did probably see the last game, game 3, where Saffron was pressuring me in a
Yeah.
way where I was not very prepared for that. I was kind of expecting to be the one pressuring, but these fire rainy creatures, the damage starts adding up sometimes.
Well, Solitude is quite a card to turn things around, and especially with Brad's deck being somewhat very clunky, mid-rangey. There's only going to be like one creature out at a time, so this Solitude, wiping away the board does clear the way for Saffron's own like aggressive plan.
Yeah. And I think now we've kind of reached the state where we can clearly see who's the aggressor this match and role player. Saffron, the aggressor with all these creatures out. Brad stumbling on mana with the ring and all the answers in hand.
I think Brad is one land away from casting this All Is Dust because I believe Eldrazi Temple is going to add 2 mana for this All Is Dust.
True. Saffron could demolition field the temple to try and prevent that from happening for one more turn, but he might be trying to save it to keep Brad off of Tron. I'll let Brad have it for turn.
Still no land.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing.
Brad just needed 1 land to be able to cast this All Is Dust, but he can't. So now he's gonna have to work with what little mana he has.
Forget Eldrazi Tron. It's just Eldrazi.
And he's gonna take Saffron's Curve Topper Eagle to the north, which might not seem very strong, but that card deals a lot of damage. I would know.
It's a giant flyer.
Yeah, that busts your whole team. A lot of people might, highlight Lorien Revealed and maybe Ophiont for Living End, but Eagle to the North, that's a true sleeper of the land cyclers. Brad with his remaining mana can just with Shadow Spear, gives him a pretty sturdy board.
Yeah, it's going to make basically it impossible for SaffronOlive to attack because nothing's profitable here. You'll just give the Eldrazi Tron deck lifelink and just life gain.
Yeah. Saffron is nearing Miria. He does have Eagles that he cycled to get back, which is pretty neat. Another field around. Oh, this is actually really strong. I think the aggro gameplay might work because Brad only has 3 basics and he has 2 demo effects, so he can effectively start destroying Brad's mana base now.
It's going to be important because those all is dusts again were just one land away from being cast.
Yeah, Brad only had that one turn window, and it's gone now.
Drew 3 cards and it was just complete brick. Now we're down to 4
Pretty
mana
hard to
and
do.
basically impossible.
Yeah, and Samaria pretty soon. 7. Does he have 7? Yeah, it's online. So now you can actually get the Eagles next turn. Still has the Thought Knot though, so wow, Brad's still finding lands. 3
3 cards deep if we
dismembers.
gone.
24 cards deep. Saffron has destroyed 4 of his lands, so he's a combination of, taking Brad's lands out of his deck via searching a demo, and also just Brad getting a little bit unlucky not finding any lands. That combination is putting him under a lot of pressure. But still, even with the Eagles of the North, this Thought Knot Seer is going to be able to stand strong. It's going to be able to block a Solitude. He's able to get a Matter Shaper down. So Brad is kind of holding the fort down for now. He does need to eventually draw lands, though.
The plus side, he's got, well, maybe this is not really a plus side. 3 dismembers. That's 12. He's got some swamps, but probably really looking at 12 damage to cast any of these things.
Yep. Saffron gets clue. Wow! That's probably the best draw in the
Yeah.
deck.
Easily.
Now he
I'm gonna
can just
win
clear the
slam
way.
this thing.
Kill the Thought Knot, get an extra card. His board is no longer afraid. Still has the Emeria in play, so even if Brad does somehow start to clear the board, Emeria is going to slowly crawl him back in. I want to white deck. It's pretty good, huh?
Well, Solitude, against all the Solitude decks I play against, sometimes it's just one-sided if they can just cast that card. If you can get them to 2 for 1 themselves to protect themselves, then it's not so bad. But if they hard cast this thing for 5 mana, just exile a creature and then have their own life-linking 3/2, yeah, it can be completely one-sided.
Yeah. And looks like.
Okay, so how much
Oh,
mana we
wow.
have?
So,
We
yeah,
have
the
2
Temple
Mind
puts all the
Stones,
problem
Waste,
line.
oh, Temple means we do have All is Dust. That was the card.
Brad really needed to draw that. Almost
Was
certainly
my
the play.
Yeah,
The
the
scary,
Mind
scary
Stones helped a
board.
lot.
Yeah, so despite Brad missing several land drops, is still somehow able to cast a 7-mana card on turn 9. But he does still have the ring in play, which means he's going to be taking a lot of damage. He is going to be able to reset it, but pretty sure there's only one play here. The Eldrazi Temple, unless I'm missing something. 2, 3, 4, 5 mana in play.
Well, it's very awkward for Brad. Maybe it's like a lose-lose situation because if let's say you go Temple, All is Dust, you just sack the board, you're going to take a hoofing amount of damage from your 1 ring, going down to 6 next turn. And like SaffronOlive, it's only it doesn't exile the permanents, you just sacrifice them. So this Emeria
Yep.
is just still going to bring something back immediately the following turn.
Yep. Oh, wait. He plays the Urza's Mine. So I guess he's going to go for the ring here and try and buy 1 extra turn.
Maybe to take less damage, and you're guaranteed not to take any damage next turn at all.
This makes sense. And even if Saffron were to draw another demo effect, yeah, he still has the ability to cast all his next turn.
Yep.
I think Brad might just want to get some cards out of his hand so he doesn't have to discard so many. Probably going to let go of at least one of these chalices in case I let go of both of them. Keeping all 3 dismembers seems very optimistic, but he does have both swamps, so it makes sense.
I guess the idea is like whatever you bring back with Emeria, it's gonna get dismembered. So there's some
Yeah,
plan to attack through whatever Saffron puts on the board.
right. Saffron notably didn't have anything to get back with Emeria this turn, so another reason why Brad waited 1 turn on the All is Dust, prevent Emeria from having value. Curious to see if he draws with the ring here. He does. Not a huge clock, but he does kind of need to be a little bit mindful of his life total, especially if he doesn't find a way to get rid of it. Okay. So looks like Brad's line is paying off because he didn't play the Eldrazi Temple. He now has 2 Tron lands in play with the third piece in his hand.
Mhm. So maybe he can like, well, he can't doesn't have that much to do with those cards yet, but he does have an active One Ring online, so maybe he can turn this thing around. Because I mean, the deal is you have if you have a lot of Tron mana and you have a lot of cards to cast with it, then that's a winning strategy.
Yeah. And he has a Reality Smasher plus Shadow Spear to get the life back as well. So
Hmm.
probably not too worried about taking damage for now. There's 3 Solitudes that are hitting the graveyard. You're probably not going to get your Reality Smasher Solitude next turn, but that would be a really sick draw if Saffron drew it. So there goes the board. Everything's gone. This is Saffron's upkeep. He has a few options of what he can get back. He could get back 3 Inspectors, so he could get 2 draws this turn. He could get something beefier, like a Solitude, to put the pressure on. Like he's going to go for 3 Vins, so you get 2 draws.
Yeah, he's empty-handed, so the cards actually matter here.
Yeah. Another 3 men.
Oh, the Thraven Inspector had they being an inspector runs in
Oh,
the family, it seems.
oh, there's the
The
One Ring.
the
And now
One
the
Ring
game feels
mirror.
more fair. I never feel like the game's fair when only one player has the One Ring and the other one doesn't. No, a little bit more even playing field. And this might be a bit premature to say, but I do want to kind of highlight the misfill planes. If the game does go extremely long and neither player is actually killing the other player, you know, reducing their life to 0, this misfill planes can prevent checking out,
Exactly.
which might come up. But again, that might be a bit premature.
I've seen games where the Martyr deck had an entire wall of creatures, but no way to push damage, but they had infinite life. But the other opponent also had a wall of creatures, but more cards in their deck. And then the Martyr player realized, oh, I took out a I took out a mist veil planes, and now they realize why it was in the deck, so that they could win the
Yeah,
war of the deck near the end.
I mean, even aside from decking yourself, it can just start putting threats on the bottom of your deck, so you can start reusing them again.
Yeah,
Saffron could start putting these field runes on the bottom, maybe shuffle a Floodistran, and use that with the ring to start redrawing them and start attacking Brad's mana base again. There's a lot of options here. Another thing to highlight is the the clock on both players, since we are playing on MagicOnline. Brad has 15 minutes where Saffron has 17. So both players do need to be mindful of their clock. This is why I'm a big fan of getting good at shortcutting on MagicOnline. I use the 1, 2, 5, and 6 keys a lot, and 0. They're all very useful.
I've reconfigured all those keys to be as close as possible, but I use the same shortcuts. F6 is wonders.
Yes. Yes, F6. That's a callback to the old days when, yeah, I remember F2, F4,
Yeah.
F6.
I guess my favorite is F4 though. It's pass priority until your opponent does something.
I don't think there is an F4 anymore, is there?
Well, I
Because
don't know. I don't know what they keyed it now, but like
I think it's 2.
oh, is it?
Yeah, I think 2 is pass the turn until your opponent does something.
Hmm.
But
My favorite.
what I wish there was a way to pass turn to end step, but you still have the option to respond to your opponent. Because if you press 0, it skips the end of
Oh.
turn, but you don't have a chance to respond. So,
Right. Something for a
anyways,
Christmas list.
looks like Saffron decided to put a Solitude back on his graveyard, already going for the long game plan. No, actually, I don't even know if we're gonna make it to game 3 at this rate. It might just be a 1 game match, maybe 2.
Or it's
I
just
mean,
gonna
at
go
some
down to the wire.
yeah, I mean, at some point, someone's gonna be really ahead, and they're probably just gonna have to concede early, just so they have enough time to win games 2 and 3.
Well, Saffron doesn't really have any reason to resign here. Not
No,
yet.
I
Not
think
at
Saffron's in a he's in a pretty good spot. Ooh, and another Emeria. That almost feels like cheating in this spot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm reliving my nightmare. Haywire Might plus Emeria. That's just brutal. He's just gonna have a way to start exiling all of Brit's permanents now.
This is the One Ring deck to rule them all. No other ring decks allowed.
Who would have ever thought the true Wandering deck would be Martyr of Sands? So Brad already has used one of his exile graveyard effects. I think let me check his deck list, see if he has any more. He does have access to 2 Stone Brains, both tutorable by Karn. He also has a Tormod's Crypt as well. He doesn't well, he has a couple ways of directly destroying one of these Emerias. He can either use Karn's plus ability with a liquid metal coating out, or he could tutor I'll actually see Cityscapes Leveler's non-land, right? I think
Mhm.
liquid metal coating might be the only direct way. He does have a Sundering Titan, but Sundering Titan only destroys land types, and Emeria is not a basic land type. So yeah, this Emeria might just hard carry Saffron actually. The Saffron takes 6 damage. She's not too worried about that. Got plenty of life to work with. Oh, but Brad has the Emrakul now. The Emrakul takes control of your opponent's turn. I don't know if there's really anything on Saffron's side that's too scary for him, though.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward. Like it's really hard to manipulate Saffron's turn by much, but it's still a huge swing of damage. Like how much damage can be done the following turn? Oh no, Saffron actually gets another turn anyway.
Yeah, so the way Emrakul works is you're going to gain control of the player's turn, and then after that turn ends, that player's just going to take an additional turn.
We'll take a look at this line. Okay, so Brad equips the Shadow Spear to Emrakul, is going to force SaffronOlive to attack
Hmm,
into it, and then he'll block to gain 14 life.
smart. He's also going to be able to get back Haywire Might with Emeria, and then exile Saffron's One Ring as well. So
Oh!
Brad might be able to choke Saffron out here. To see. Brad just thinking about chalicing for 0. Oh, he's going to discard. Never mind. Okay, so here's the Emrakul turn that Brad's controlling. I believe Miria. It looks like it's going to target the Haywire Might.
Yeah,
I
Brad's
wonder if there's
following your plan.
I wonder if there's any reason to get a second creature back. No, I don't think so. So it takes the damage from the ring, draws Demo Field. I don't think Demo Field can target your friendly lands, can it? I have to double check that. No, Demolition Field can only destroy opponent's land. So if Brad wanted to demo the Emeria or the Misspell Plains, that is not allowed, unfortunately. That would have been a pretty cool way of dealing with one of these problematic lands.
Hmm.
Looks like he's just going to go ahead and force Saffron to blow it up, since Saffron's going to have the option to do that next turn anyways.
Right.
Might as well fail to find and target the least good land. And exile Haywire Might, of course, and Martyr of Sands is probably just gonna tap directly into a 14/14 lifelinking Emrakul.
Well, you could also sack the
Oh, right,
martyr.
yeah, you could sack it, gain no life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Gain
makes more
nothing.
sense. Hmm.
Reveal
Right.
nothing, gain nothing. And now it's time for these Thraben inspectors to be very brave. The bravest day of their lives. Oh, well, yeah, only attacks with 1 to save himself 1 life.
Hmm. So now Saffron's about to take his extra turn. He's gonna go to upkeep and get this 2 Emeria triggers. One almost definitely on the Haywire Might. I think Okay, the second one's gonna be on 3 even, so we can card draw. That makes sense. Does need to kill the Emrakul at some point. It does. Oh wow. Just draws some wondering. Makes
It's
the
always
life a
when
bit
your back is
easier.
against the wall, you draw the best card in your deck.
Yeah. Well, we did say in Martyr, the stands is a true wondering deck, so it makes sense for
Yeah.
him to draw it when he needs it. So he's got protection for a turn, and there's a biting grace, which means this Haywire Might is going to start doing a lot of damage. You know, when I was initially looking at deck lists and I saw the abiding grace, I was like, okay, well, Saffron can gain a lot of life with Martyr Sands. You know, maybe I can get through that. But what I did not think about was the Haywire Might coming back with abiding grace and Emiria.
Yeah, what's
That is
funny,
really painful.
it's very the Haywire thing is very good against you, and the, Kami of the False Hope is very good against me, because it just fogs you every single turn.
Saffron may have just made a deck that not be too bad in modern. Even I know we gonna bring some more meme decks and for fun decks, but this does seem like a pretty solid strategy.
It was a perfect
Effective.
meta call for a
It
metagame that you
was
couldn't
a
really
perfect
predict either.
metagame call. Yes, artifacts and enchantments were probably going to be popular amongst the meme decks. Makes sense. So let's see. What is Brad? What's his game plan? His game plan is probably to just try and kill him with this Reality Smash and Emrakul before Haywire Mike goes out of control.
Well, can we all as dust now? Is it worth all as dusting now to get rid of the Abiding Grace, or do we wait on this for a better moment?
It's going to be hard to find a better moment.
Yeah, so
However,
you
this is Brad's last All Is Dust. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, Brad is at 16 cards in his deck. Saffron at 24 and gaining 1 extra turn in Misfail Plains.
mhm.
Brad also down 3 minutes on time, so you know he's losing on deck size, he's losing on time. The only thing he's not losing on is board. So I think he's really all in on trying to get these creatures to connect. I could definitely see all his dust here, trying
It
to
would
push the
unfortunately
aggression.
it would unfortunately run right into Reprieve,
Right.
if Saffron even wants to do that.
Could go for Karn. Maybe there's something on the Karn board. However, this Haywire Might is ready. So Saffron does need to activate this now. Karn does just turn off the Haywire Might. This card might be Brad's ticket to being able to win this game. Stops the Haywire Might engine from running rampant.
Yeah, it's gonna give him his best chance.
It
We're
looks
gonna
like
see a
Saffron's going to.
mhm.
So I think the Karn still might be fine to play. He definitely has the creatures to protect it. However, Brad also needs to start attacking here. So I wonder if there's anything spicy he can get in the sideboard right now.
I'm seeing Engineered Explosives, Tormod's Crypt, Walking Ballista, Pithing Needle. Ooh, this is interesting. There's Curse Totem in there. Activated
Oh,
abilities, creatures can't be activated.
he has a
It
lot of ways of turning off the Haywire Might, but it looks like he's just going to go for the guaranteed removal on the One Ring.
oh yeah,
So
again,
no
the line.
attacks.
Pick up, destroy one ring with Dismember. That's why he saved all those Dismembers for each one ring.
That makes sense. Of course, you save Dismember for One Ring. Of course, this is
Yeah.
very standard gameplay.
Of course you save Dismember for one ring.
That makes perfect sense. So it looks like Brad is formulating his game plan kind of all in on this card. He's opting not to attack at all to keep Karn's loyalty as high as possible, just for that Haywire Might. But Saffron being Saffron and doing Saffron things, he top decks the Skyclave Apparition. Is gonna exile the Karn and turn the Haywire Might back on again. I think Brad's gonna be very happy to see that.
And with Emiria, this is gonna be awkward. This Skyclave Apparition can come by every single turn.
True. So bye bye Karn. Low activated abilities. Um Saffron, no good attacks here. Probably pass. He could pull up an expedition map, I guess, if he wanted to, but he's probably just gonna exile that Shadow Spear first.
Wonder if it's gonna come down to beating Brad down, or if Saffron is just gonna opt to deck him.
I think the decking game plan, probably game plan number 8 right now. 6 cards ahead, also
Yeah.
ahead on time. Saffron doesn't really have any incentive to start getting aggressive. And
So
Brad, sorry, go ahead.
it's not there is an incentive for Saffron to just keep dragging the game out if Brad wants to keep playing, because he is up on time and he probably has the game locked anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So finally, he's gonna pull the trigger on all his dust. I think Brad realizes he needs to do it now or never.
Mhm.
It seems like a pretty good opportunity to do it. You can attack for 19, go down to 11. Saffron still doesn't have a way to answer Emrakul or Reality Smasher. There is a Wrath of God. I know Saffron's been putting Solitudes back. I think 2 of them got exiled with Stone earlier. Not a ton of outs. Like a very close match now. Let's see. He can get back Thraben, get another draw, get back Haywire Might. I'm just gonna go for double Thraben. That makes sense. Basically, just saying I need to kill this Emrakul so we
Mhm.
can go back to having a slow game. Danger.
Ranger Captain, is that I was thinking it could get Cammy of the False Hope, but it might not actually work because Brad has Dismember for the Cammy.
That's true. I think the Kami got exiled
Oh, did it?
earlier in the game. Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
think
gone.
I think Saffron only plays one of them,
Yeah, it's only a one
and
of.
yeah, and it was one of the cards in Saffron's opening hand. So I think Brad might win here. Facing down a lot of, or Saffron's facing down a lot of pressure. You can get Martyr, go up to 18. So he's not gonna get Martyr. Might not have any
Opted
more
for
copies.
Thraben Inspector.
Didn't get a good look at the deck. Both players are obviously going to be playing extremely fast now. The little time they have remaining.
The sad thing for Skyclave Apparition is the creatures are too big, and Brad takes game one down. Who was counting on that?
Yeah, it was very well played. Saffron definitely had the long game, but the game plan of Karn plus Dismember on the One Ring just made it so Saffron just ran out of cards. And that makes sense for the context of this matchup. Saffron, if he is able to just draw a lot of cards, he's gonna be able to prevent decking himself, whereas that
Mhm.
puts the onus on Brad to be the aggressor and trying to close the game out.
As we saw, that was heavily a one ring matchup. So SaffronOlive is bringing in the other two Haywire Mites from the sideboard to help battle against, I mean, not only all of Brad's artifacts, but especially to win the one ring mirror.
Yes. Hmm. So he has the option for the second Wrath of God on the board, which I feel like isn't too bad. Eldrazi Tron has a lot of beefy creatures that are hard to answer, and Wrath of God can clear them.
Yeah, Skyclave Apparition, good for, I guess, dealing with Karn, the One Ring, I guess, Reality Smasher, uh, Thought
Sky,
Knot Seer, but it's
yeah,
not going to beat
Skyclave
the
is
bigger
4 or less.
creatures.
But yeah, it does handle most of the threats. I really like Skyclave. Interesting. Brad is keeping the 4th ring in his sideboard for Clark. Fine. Brad doesn't really have a lot of options for sideboarding, given the card in sideboard.
Yeah,
He only can change a couple of cards here and there. Can bring the second Stonebring in. We'll tutor it.
interesting. He's not even considering bringing in one Cursed Totem, but I guess there's enough ways of dealing with it.
Probably
Yeah,
also doesn't want to dilute his deck as well.
true.
Okay, so game 2, got the opening hands. Like we have a mulligan from Saffron. Didn't have any white sources. Brad, I think we are missing one card.
Yep.
There we go. Kind of a slow hand. It also looks like Brad kept in these chalices, which
A
I'm
few
okay.
chalices. Yeah. I think it's gonna
Okay.
be better on the play than on the draw. But
Oh, for
still.
sure. All right, so Brad does still need to be mindful of his clock here. He is down almost 2 minutes, but even though he's up a game, these games are going to go very long. So we're probably going to see a lot more fast play from both players.
Yeah, it's funny seeing a control deck take the aggro stance, the aggro line. So Saffron with, needs to win 2 games here. Gotta start
Yeah,
looking at these haywire mites and maybe like try to get that in the red zone as often as possible before cracking it.
yeah. Brad's already 2/3 of the way to Tron, and he has a turn 3 wondering. I
This is
like how
tempting.
Mindstone's been a mainstay in Eldrazi Tron for a long time, but now that the deck has the one ring, it's better than it's ever been.
Yeah, consistently turn 3 at 1 ring.
Yes. It looks like Saffron's going to prevent the turn 3 Tron. Got a 3-din inspector, but Brad still has the wondering, and it looks like Brad has the tools to start building a game plan to in this game as soon as possible.
It was interesting. Saffron could have played a Thraben Inspector, opts to get a land instead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reason is for that exactly, but I guess it wouldn't have mattered since Brad played 3-bin, the 1 damage isn't going to amount to anything
Mhm.
anyways. Here's a Miria.
The good news is Solitude will be coming down on curve.
Yes, which might be necessary since there is a Thought Knot.
The bad news, Thought Non's gonna come down first and take one of them.
And the other bad news is Brad is drawing 3, 4, and then 5 infinite cards every turn.
Yeah,
Can be
just pure
a little
gas.
difficult. Yes. And this
Sauron,
is a
Sauron made a very good One Ring.
yeah. And this is a pretty ideal hand for Brad as well. He kind of needs to have this early pressure in order to try and close the game out. If he had a repeat of game 1 where Saffron was the aggressor initially, then it would have resulted in Brad having to do a quick concession game 2 and try and reset the game for game 3. Oh, wow. Of course, Saffron drawing the ring on curve.
Hmm.
Makes the game a lot more interesting now. Yeah.
One Ring deck versus another One Ring deck, but Brad just drew another Thought Knots here, which will eat that Solitude that he knows about.
Well, he can't Thought Not yet because the ring just came down. So he'll have to wait one turn. Might have forgot about it. Or does it say each opponent? No. Yeah, I'm pretty sure one ring protects you against Thought Not.
Oh yes, that's correct. You have protection from your opponent. You're right. Place Thought Knot anyway.
4/4 beater. Still pretty good. Fortunately for Brad, he doesn't have his favorite one ring dismember combo with Karn. So just gonna have to keep the one ring turned off the old fashioned way.
I didn't check. Did he keep the dismembers in? That was a very nice line. He killed two. He killed 2 One Rings.
I
Killed.
would assume he kept them in. They seem very strong.
He just found the Stone Brain.
I'm wondering what he's gonna name with Stonebrain. Could be Haywire Might, just to ensure you don't run into that loop again.
Well, if he can find a way to deal with this One Ring, then maybe he can like just name the other One Ring because it seems to be like a One Ring mirror.
Yeah, I think that's also pretty viable, but he does still need to deal with this ring first.
Yeah.
So Saffron, he's sitting not too much right now.
Unless these Eagles of the North can compound into a pretty aggressive line.
Yeah. But Brad just has so much mana and Cityscape Leveler and another ring. But he does need to play quickly, which increases the likelihood that he could make a misstep and leave himself open to these Eagles.
Yeah, it is important to know. Brad is less than 6 minutes on the clock. SaffronOlive at a relatively healthier 7 minutes 35 seconds. And on Magic: The Gathering Online, like the time matters. You do have to play at a really fast, like a relatively fast pace, especially if you're playing a deck with a lot of clicks to it.
Oh, absolutely. I play a lot of blue-white control in the modern challenges, and
Mhm.
I gotta make sure I'm there, as soon as the match starts. Because as soon as the match starts, I gotta start using all the hotkeys and passing priority. Time will add up. But
More
I think
damage coming
that's
in from this Thought-Knot Seer.
looks like he opted to get rid of Skyclave Apparition. I think Brad just wants to make sure that his aggressive game plan, he keeps the ring in play, keeps card in play. Brad's really just trying to close this game out. He's not concerned at all with the game going long. And Saffron just doesn't have a lot of answers. And he has a Martyr's Hands with Emiria, which can gain him some life. I think is honestly, I don't know. Gameplay might just be to prolong it and try and fall until he finds a Wrath of God.
Whatever it is, he's running out of time because, like,
Uh,
the Karn of the Great Creator was completely stopping SaffronOlive's one ring, so he's just gonna play, like, basically one thing a turn.